Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Chhoda, and welcome to our channel. Wages are rising, but there's bad news because they are not rising enough to keep pace with the surge in inflation. Folks, we need money to put food on the table, to make rent, to keep the lights on, to buy milk, to buy eggs, to put gas in our cars. Folks, prices are going up. You can see it when you go to the grocery store. You can see it when you buy gas. Inflation is leading to a shrinking of our real wages, and this potentially is bad news for our economy, for our money. Welcome to our channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Chhoda. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, the economy, as well as our money. Here's an article on your screen from Fox Business. Workers' wages are rising, but not enough to keep pace with the surge in inflation. In fact, real wages actually shrank 2% in the month of June. We'll provide you with a link to this article in the description section below. Companies across the country are raising wages, but workers are not seeing the benefit of these wages. In fact, average hourly earnings actually climbed in July for the third consecutive month, rising 4% from the same period a year ago and 0.4% over the prior month, according to latest data from the Department of Labor. Here's a problem though. Although wages are rising and they did increase in April, May, and June, inflation is indeed catching up, and this is the major problem. Now, let's look at some good news. Low-wage workers appear to be the biggest beneficiary of this pay increase, with industries such as leisure, hospitality, and retail, which, by the way, employ roughly about 30 million of our fellow Americans. What is happening here is that businesses desperately want more workers, and more Americans are now starting to spend more money. More and more of our fellow Americans are eating out at restaurants. They are shopping. They are traveling. Even though there are a record number of job openings, there are about 5.7 million out of work Americans. So what exactly is happening? Some of these gains in wages are actually being erased by the rapidly rising prices of consumer goods and services. Now, what are real wages? Real wages actually measure income after accounting for inflation. So real wages actually dropped by nearly 2% in June compared to the same period in 2020. Why? Because consumer prices actually jumped 0.9% from the previous month, and they've jumped 5.4% over the past year. This is the biggest increase in 13 years. In fact, Republicans have actually compared this increase in inflation with rising wages, and they've said that there's a growing disparity between wages and consumer prices, and they said this amounts to a pay cut for the average American. Here's a quote from the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. He said this: "Costs for working families have shot up. Inflation is running so hot that even though American workers have seen a 3.6% pay increase on average since last year, it's been completely swamped and then some by inflation. In real terms, American workers' pay has actually gone down nearly 2% since last July." Now, rising inflation and stagnant wages could actually pressure businesses to pay workers more. Now, Morgan Stanley's economists have said that businesses may actually end up paying workers more, and 79% of industries are still seeing a significant amount of inflation, which is likely to outpace job growth. So, this is what Morgan Stanley said. While hard to know exactly how these political forces impact wage growth in the short term, we suspect this is a longer-term tailwind towards rising and broadening wage growth. So basically what Morgan Stanley is saying is, hey, we expect wages to increase. We expect people to make more money going forward. But folks, if your money is disappearing faster, it's coming in and it's going out. If it's costing you more to buy milk, to buy eggs, to put gas in your car, to put food on the table, if it's costing you more to make rent, and if it's costing you more to keep the lights on, folks, you're not going to see the benefits of that wage increase. In fact, the White House and the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell have mostly downplayed rising prices, and they said that the increase in inflation is a direct result of the disruption of the global supply chain and a massive increase in demand, pent-up demand, if you will, revenge spending, if you will, from the American consumer. When there's a disruption in supply and when there's an increase in demand, that is when prices go up. However, the chairman of the US Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, has said inflation could, I quote, turn out to be higher and more persistent than we expect. And he has also repeatedly said that it's likely to be transitory. So, what is the truth? Are we likely to see consistent higher inflation? Let's hope not. But right now, we have high inflation. Right now, it's actually costing you more to do the things that you need to do on a day to day basis. And this is actually taking away from your wages. In the end, wages are rising, but true wage growth is actually going down. Real wages actually shrank 2% in June because of the impact of inflation. Is this impacting you? Let me know in the comment section below whether it's costing you more to do the things you normally do on a day-to-day basis, and whether your wages, assuming you're back to work, have gone up. And despite your wages going up, it's costing you more to get things done. In other words, you have less money in your bank account. Is this impacting you? I want to hear from our viewers and subscribers about how the increase in wages is impacting your family, your economy, your money. Is inflation actually hurting you? Let me know in the comment section below. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I work hard on this channel every single day to bring you the latest news when it comes to the country, the economy, as well as our money. I believe inflation is indeed here, but it's too soon to say whether inflation is here to stay. It's too soon to say whether these increases in all the prices of goods and services that we see around us, increased cost of food, increased cost of gas, is something that is going to persist. Let's hope it doesn't, because as inflation goes up, the US Federal Reserve will have no choice but to raise interest rates. And when they raise interest rates, you can expect housing to come down. You can expect the stock market to come down. And you can expect a course correction in the US economy. In the end, all of us want to live the American dream. All of us want higher wages. But we need to keep inflation in check, because high inflation will force the government to respond. And one of the biggest disadvantages of high inflation is when interest rates go up, the US government actually has to pay more money on its own debt, because we are in debt, well over $26 trillion in debt, and low interest rates allow us to repay our own debt faster, which is exactly why the Biden administration and the Democrats want to push forward with trillions of dollars in new spending, because now is the time to borrow, if there ever was a time to borrow more money. Let me know where you stand. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.